Well, I don't want to make a speech. I think speech, the monologue, is the opposite of what philosophical practice is. And it would be a little bit strange that I would do in my intervention, I would do the opposite of what philosophical practice is. So when somebody comes to visit me, or when I speak to somebody, I ask them, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? With all the ambiguity of this question. So I would like to have someone answer me, what are you doing here? Who would be ready to answer? You can either raise your hand or use the virtual hand of Zoom, but who would like to answer me, what are you doing here? Okay, so now you see already what's interesting is I asked the question to 40 people and only one is willing to answer me, to answer this question. And that's very revealing of the difficulty of engaging a philosophical dialogue. Yeah, most people will resist. They think it's scary, it's dangerous. They don't want to expose themselves. Well, I call this fear to exist. Fear to exist. To exist, as the etymology of the word indicates, is to stand out. But most human beings do not want to stand out. They want to hide. They want comfort. They want to feel good. Yeah. And this feeling good is opposite to passion, is opposite to taking risk, the risk that existence is all about, right? So that's just a little first remark, because everything happening is part of the process. So first observation, most people prefer not to take the risk of existing. Yeah. So now I've finished my little parenthesis. Let's try again. Who would like to answer me? What are you doing here? Raise your hand or activate the virtual hand. Okay. All right. I got two more. I doubled. Yeah. So let's try with, I see somebody called Aniket. So Aniket, if you can activate your microphone and tell me, but in a short way, not a long speech, a short way, just a simple idea. What are you doing here, please? Okay, Aniket is not answering me. I don't know why. Doesn't work. So let me go with somebody else then. Pushkar, what are you doing here? Why are you here?
Hello, am I audible?
It's a bit hard, but let's try.
Okay, is it okay now?
It's better.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand what exactly philosophical counseling is and how exactly it can work in our daily life.
You see, you already are greedy. You made an, did you notice in your sentence, there was an and? Did you hear it?
Yes.
Yeah, you see, and see, I'm going to ask you to really pay attention to speech, because speech is the house of being, you see. So already I see a certain form of greed. So why don't you take one of the two reasons and give one of the two reasons why you're here, just one, no and.
Trying to understand what exactly philosophical counseling can be.
Right, you're trying to understand, yeah? That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Now, you see, trying is a very interesting word, because when you try to do something, we don't know what's happening. Imagine Romeo asks Juliet, do you love me, Juliet? She says, I'm trying. We don't know what that means. It's a very strange idea to try to understand. So let me ask you, do you understand anything about philosophical practice, or you understand nothing about it?
Right now, to be honest, I don't understand anything about philosophical practice.
Nothing at all. Are we good?
Yeah.
Well, that's a little bit strange, because why would you be in this session if you understood nothing about it? Does it look strange or not?
Maybe because I'm trying to understand what it is.
No, yeah, stay with me, stay with me. Imagine somebody, wait, imagine there's a plumbing seminar on plumbing, and somebody comes and you say, what are you doing here? He says, because I know nothing about plumbing. Does that look strange or looks normal?
It's quite strange, yeah.
Yes. So when you go to some place where something is happening, it is not possible that you know nothing about it, you understand nothing about it. Otherwise, you probably would not be there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so you lied to me, right? When you said you understood nothing, you must understand something minimal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but I know something about you. I know you're greedy. I know from your initial wanting to give two answers, and probably the reason you say you don't understand is because you're a greedy guy. You want to understand a lot. Is that possible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's probably why you are in the academic world. It's a world of greedy people, the academic world. So tell me, well, then, since we know you understand something about it, give us one idea, something you understand, no matter how minimal it is. Why don't you just give it?
Now, about philosophical counseling or philosophical practice?
About plumbing. You have to get used to it. It's a very popular French sport. We love irony in France, so don't mind me if I'm being ironical. It's our national pastimes. Yes. So why don't you give one thing you understand about it?
Plumbing needs pipes.
Sorry, repeat.
Plumbing needs pipes.
Okay, so you speak now about plumbing, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Is irony a popular thing in India or not so much?
Yeah, it is popular.
Okay. Because plumbing, I'm a son of Socrates and he loved to make irony. Plumbing was irony. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. So why don't you tell me something you understand about philosophical practice or counseling? Yeah. Anything you get from it, any hypothesis.
Okay. It is something different from psychological counseling.
Okay. Now, that's interesting. So it is different from something else, right? Now, let me pose you a little logical problem. If you know A is different from B, do you know something about A?
I know it's not what.
No. If you know A is different from B, does that imply you know something about A? You understand my question? If you don't understand my question, but don't hesitate to say it. Huh?
Actually, I lost you after A it's different from B. Can you please repeat it?
Okay. If I have two objects, A and B, okay? You follow me?
Yes.
And I know A is different from B. Does it imply I know something about A?
It implies I know something about B.
Yeah, but about A as well, no?
Yes.
So if you say that philosophical counseling is different from psychological counseling, therefore you must know something about philosophical counseling. Do you agree?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so instead of just saying it's different from psychological counseling, what do you know about philosophical counseling? Something you know about it. Or you know nothing.
We can say philosophical counseling is about philosophizing our situations, maybe.
No, don't give maybe. Just be courageous and give your hypothesis. So what is philosophical counseling? Try again.
It's philosophizing our situations and trying to understand it.
Don't give an and. You see, again, you give an and. Just one idea.
trying to understand our situations while philosophizing it.
Okay, so it's trying to understand situation by philosophizing, yeah? Right?
Yes.
But then we have a problem
Yes.
because you see, there's a rule in definition. When you define something, when you define a word, you should not use the word in the definition itself. You know that rule of definition?
Yeah.
Yeah, and now you're betraying it. You say you want to define something about philosophy and you use philosophy in the definition. So the first part is okay. We want to understand the situation, but by philosophizing, no, because that's what we're trying to define. So what does it mean to understand situation by what?
By critically examining it.
By critically examining it. Okay, that's interesting. Well, let's try something. In physics, do we try to understand the situation by critically examining it, or in physics it doesn't work?
It may work in physics as well. It works in physics, yeah.
All right, so do you understand that if it works in physics as well, it's called an undifferentiated explanation or undifferentiated definition because it applies as well to something very different. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
All right, so we still need something specific. So it would apply to philosophical practice, but not to physics. Do you have such a thing or you don't have?
Addressing a dilemma in our day-to-day life.
Addressing dilemma in our day-to-day life, yes?
Yes.
Right? Now, take a coach. You know the concept of a coach?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Would a coach help you to address dilemma in your day-to-day life?
Yes, he can.
But then we got a new problem, is we don't know the difference between philosophical practitioner and a coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you get us out of this problem by finding something specific?
Okay.
No? If you feel stuck, by the way, you can tell me, yeah? That happens a lot, it's difficult. So if you feel stuck, you're allowed to say I'm stuck, or you provide an answer. Do you have?
I'm just trying to think. Give me a minute. Is it okay?
No, fine. We got plenty of time. We got the whole life. But sometimes you have to learn as well to say I'm stuck. It's not forbidden, huh?
Yeah, maybe. Yes, I'm stuck.
You're stuck. Okay, that's fine. So see, so we have done a little work together. Thank you for your patience. So let me ask you, did you enjoy our discussion or rather not?
Yes, I enjoyed it. Absolutely.
Give me one reason why you enjoyed it.
Because it made me understand what I know about philosophical counseling and what I don't.
And what did you discover you knew?
Maybe I knew nothing.
Okay. Well, you're becoming it's a Socratic discovery, you know? You familiar with Socrates?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what he discovered. I know it, I didn't know nothing. Well, congratulations. You had a Socratic experience. You discovered you actually know nothing, and maybe you're in the wrong workshop. Okay, good. Thank you for your collaboration. So that was a little exercise. So now I invite participants for a little moment, if you have some either question or analysis of the work I did with my new friend, my new Socratic friend. Does anybody have either a question about what we've done or a comment about it? Comment doesn't have to be very deep. You can say, I like, I don't like, because, or a question about it. Does anybody want to say something about our little exercise? You raise your hand. I see Yash Gopal. You're raising your hand?
Yes. Hello, Prof.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. I've been witnessing what you've done with the participant. It appears that you're leading the person to reach certain point, but it was not clear to me where you want to lead the person.
That's a very interesting problem. So you would like to know where I am leading the person, right?
Yes.
But if you say that, that presupposes that there is a place where I'm going to, right?
Yeah, right.
But what allows you to have such a presupposition that there is such a place in my mind? What allows you to think that?
The way you've been like decoachki, I can't find another word. Maybe the way you are like breaking, analyzing the statements made by the person. There are terms that you focus specifically on such terms.
Okay, so that leads you to the conclusion there would be a place, right?
Yeah.
Well, is it possible that I do what you described, but there's no place we're going to? Is that possible?
Then it will be just a process.
No, wait. No, let's take one thing at a time. The then will come afterwards. For now, I'm asking you, you see, let me explain to you. People have presuppositions about anything, and then they conclude. I'll give you an example. I work with children, and a child comes in the room of another child, and he takes his toy. And I say, oh, and he's upset. I say, why are you upset? He say, he wants to bother me. So I ask him, well, is it possible that it's for another reason that he's took your toy? And they say, yeah, well, maybe he wants to play with it, you see? So he's realizing that he had a presupposition that the other wants to bother him. He attributed intention to the other child, but actually maybe there's no such intention. And that's what I'm checking with you. What you describe, does it allow you to conclude there's a place I'm going to, or no, maybe it does not allow this presupposition? What do you think? It allows it or not necessarily?
Upon second thought, it's not necessary that there is a place, a destination.
Okay, so if it's not necessary, then if you ask me, if you oh, we have somebody's microphone open, yeah, okay. So if it's not necessary, therefore, when you ask me, where are you taking this person? Maybe this question is irrelevant because there's no such a place. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so let's then look at this. Suppose I'm not taking somebody someplace, then what am I doing?
It's a process. I mean,
okay,
it's like
nice. Yeah, very nice. Huh? It's not a place, it's not a goal, it's not a result, but it's a process. Good. So does that solve your problem? Oh,
yeah. Can you hear me? I think my phone, my mic was muted.
Yeah, we didn't hear. I'm asking you if then, by identifying it's a process and not a specific goal, a place, does that solve your issue?
Yes, it does solve the issue.
All right. But do you have another question then?
Yeah. If it's a process, then when and where do we end the process?
You're a funny guy, you know? You know why I think you're a funny guy?
I don't know.
Well, because you just discovered there's no place, but now you want an end. So you're trying to find place and not in spatial term, but now with temporal terms. But you're very concerned with finding a purpose, a specific purpose. You notice that?
Yes, yes,
You're a result-oriented person, right?
yes.
Well, why you prefer results to process? Well, why is it you like results more than process?
Uh, uh, because when I talk to people about philosophical consultation, this is the first question I'm asked. Where does philosophical consultation lead to?
Ah,
So I don't have the answer. That's why,
yeah,
you see?
so you're a conventional person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, did you know you were a conventional person?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, are you
Yes,
okay
yes.
with a conventional person to do philosophical practice, or that's a bit of a contradiction?
No, I'm not conventional all the time, but
Well,
because I've seen people asking me this question, what is the purpose? Where are we going with this? So that's why I wanted to have your view on this.
yeah, I understand. But you see, all the time does not exist. For example, you sleep, right? You agree you sleep?
Yes.
So when you sleep, you're not conventional. You just sleep. You agree? So all the time does not exist. But when I listen to your speech, you say, people tell me, therefore, that's a conventional way of speaking. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it surprise you? First, I discover you're result-oriented. Second, you're conventional. See, we're getting to know you. Do these two conclusions surprise you?
The second one, I wasn't aware. Maybe I assume that I'm not conventional, but you just show me that from the arguments you've constructed that I I have that conventional taste somewhere in me,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I won't disagree with because I realize that it is the case.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the father figure of philosophical practice, which is Socrates, ended up badly. You know that?
Yes.
Precisely because he was not respecting the convention. The only convention he respected was reason, was the logos. But social conventions, he was not so keen on it. You know that, right?
Yes. He was questioning the doctor, isn't it?
Exactly. So, but you see, so it's important for you, if you want to learn philosophical practice, to become conscious of your own inclinations. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And here we saw two inclinations which can be problematic. First one is to look for result instead of process. Second is to look for convention, to respond to convention instead of responding to the injunction of reason, of the logos, right?
Yeah, right.
So I propose because the idea is to speak to different people, and we stop our little discussion, and let me ask you what I always ask everyone, like the previous person. Did you enjoy our discussion?
Yes.
Tell me one reason.
The discussion, the dialogue, if you want, as you usually say, the dialogue. Through the dialogue, I've realized that I thought I'm unconventional, but through the dialogue, I realized I was. I am conventional in some ways.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
This is an important insight for me.
Yeah, and you see, you're touching at if we look on the meta level, that's the one fundamental issue in philosophical counseling, which opposed to physics and opposed to academic philosophy, is that the real subject is the subject. It's not what we're speaking about, but who's speaking, you see? And that's the main difference. Who's speaking? What is his modality of existence? What is his relation to reason? What is his freedom? You see, so through the dialogue, we're going to use the speech, but we're going to become conscious of the way of existence, of the being of the subject himself. Does that make sense? Oh, I think we have technical problem. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. We had finished anyhow. So there was an interesting...
Yeah, now it's fine. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, yeah. And that's the way, by the way, you're a very patient person, but that's why some people get upset, because the last thing they want is to see themselves. That's the most horrible sight most human beings have, is to look at themselves. So thank you for your patience and distance, because to do this, you need some distance from yourself. Do you want to add do you want to add a final thing, or we're good?
No, it's good. I think I will take some time to reflect on our dialogue, and maybe I can contact you sometime later.
Yeah. By the way, people that want to contact me, you can do it either through Facebook or through my website. Then you do Brenifier on Google. I have a website with a lot of videos and text. You can write to me through this my website or through Facebook. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Good. So, can I make another friend, somebody else who would like to either ask something, make a comment, whatever you want? Yeah. So, who else would like little dialogue? Okay, I see Ash. I'm a Harvard with Indian name. Alshad Kapoor. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. It was really nice to listen to your talk. I have a sort of a query. So your practice, it involves no goal. I see that, and I see that your process, it's not goal oriented at all. So
wait. Sorry, because sometimes I have a problem when I speak. I'm not used to Indian people speaking English, and sometimes it's a little bit difficult. So I'm going to ask to repeat. Can you repeat your last sentence?
Yeah, I said that I can see that that your process is not goal oriented.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Now, what I want to know, how does that matter when I try to market my practice? Or like when I try to charge a client, won't he come with me with a problem or a solution for a problem? So yeah, when you market it, do you feel there's some problem that you face there?
Well, now you're creating a big problem for me. You know, you don't realize, but I'll have to tell you a little secret, is that for many years I was working more or less alone, and I was terrible for marketing. I was not very good. And then some people started working with me who had a better idea of marketing, and then they developed something financially and business-wise much more efficient than me. So it's a big dilemma, because, of course, as you know, people, they want to hear nice things that motivates them to let's say to buy or to work with you. So let me tell you some of the arguments that they have been using. One of them is, you're going to learn thinking. Yeah, you're going to learn thinking as a practice. And thinking is useful if you're a business leader, for example. You might want to learn argumentation. You might want to learn critical thinking. You might want to know how to evaluate. I did this a lot in businesses, to evaluate personnel, for example. I would do a 20-minute interview with someone, somebody who wants to get a job in the business. And in 20 minutes, we could evaluate the person. What's called now is soft skills. Now, this typical kind of thing that myself, I was not too aware of, but it's called soft skills, and it's popular. Yeah. Another thing is to work on emotional intelligence, to be able to identify emotion, to analyze them, to work on them. That's one thing. And another one that has been used is to learn to reconcile with yourself, because most human beings actually, they don't appreciate themselves. They fight with themselves. They want to deny themselves. So they use the argument of learning to reconcile with yourself, which means to accept yourself with all the limitation, with the finitude of the selves. To learn, in philosophical term, you say to reconcile with your own finitude. You understand the idea of reconcile with your finitude? Oh, is it gone? Hello? Okay.
Please
well,
unmute yourself, Akshat.
he has a connection problem. Okay, anyway, doesn't matter. Others are listening. Yeah. Reconcile with the finitude, reconcile. And it takes different forms in different people, the idea of finitude. It can be the fear of death, the fear of being alone, the fear of being useless, the fear of being stupid, the fear of loneliness. Yeah. And in different people, the fear of finitude takes place in different ways. So we invite people to recognize their anxiety about finitude and reconcile with it. So these are some of the arguments that can be used with people too. Because if people ask me, why would I do a philosophical consultation? I say, for no reason, for the hell of it, for the joy, for the joy of thinking, for existing. But of course, for many people, it doesn't mean so much. So on this, you have to choose. You have to make your own marketing choices, but I'm sure you can find certain concrete elements. The only thing I tell people, I'm not promising, like sometime in self-development, they say you promise you happiness or whatever. No, I would never do such a thing, because I'm not sure that philosophical practice makes you happy. Makes you think happy, I don't know. If you want to be happy, you might as well buy some wine. That's more secure. Yes. So, okay, so let's conclude here since our friend is gone. Somebody else wants. Oh, you're back?
So yeah, I was unmute. I could not unmute myself. There was some problem with it. So yeah. So from what I get from your perspective, it's like you need to cater to whatever the person is trying to get. So maybe you can categorize your services or your approach in that way. So like if someone wants a reconciliation, you can organize a reconciliation session specifically, and you can market it that way. Or if someone just wants freestyle exercising or thinking exercise, and you can go that way. So will that be a better approach?
Except I have to specify among the changes that I have done. When I was doing this by myself, I had a bit of an aristocratic idea where, we do one session and, happens what happened and people do what they want. That's their problem. Yeah. But actually now with the team that started working with me, they're much more efficient commercially. They started proposing 10-session program. Yeah. Because you don't reconcile like this. I do one session and, 1 hour and I'm reconciled. It would be pretending to be like Jesus Christ and make miracles. No, it doesn't work like that. But they realized that it was better to propose a little 10-session program where you can actually do some, it would make more sense, because the first session for people is more of a shock, more surprising. And over 10 sessions, they have a better understanding of the process. 10 session, you get more results, more visible results. Yeah. So you cannot just propose, say, one session to reconcile. Yeah. But what I try to do when somebody comes, I always say, well, again, what do you want? What do you expect? And instead of promising something or tell them what they're going to get, I make them have the experience of dialogue. And then I say, do you like it? Yeah. And often they like it for reasons they did not expect, which is very few people come to say, I want to think, I want to learn thinking. People come with much more concrete problem. My husband left me. I am despaired. What, it's horrible. That's more. Or I have a dilemma about this, about that. So, but we try to show them that thinking is a very liberating activity, joyful, a bit painful as well, but joyful. So we have to, through the process, make them reach, like, say, a higher level of consciousness and existence. Yeah. So that's why it's a bit hard to describe. It's better to invite people to do the experience, to live the experience. Make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Okay, good. So anyone else wants to join? Raise your hand. Okay, Yamini, go ahead.
So I have a question related to your work with children. That when you work with children, they usually react differently from adults. Like even today, we saw that they reacted little less emotionally, but it is very difficult to confront children and talk with them. So how do you deal with that?
Is that your experience, that it's harder to confront children, or it's a theoretical perspective?
It is from my experience, and I saw one of your videos also in which you are working with children.
Okay. Now, I don't know particularly that video, but I have to tell you that my experience is rather opposite, you see, because children, they have a couple of advantages over adults, yeah, and one of the advantages is that children, they like playing, you see, they like to play, yeah. So because of that, they're more willing to, let's say, to go along with the exercise, even though it sounds a bit weird, yeah? When adults who are very serious, wait, hold on. I got my dog here, has a problem, yeah? Lizzie, hey. Life is full of unexpected things, yeah? So, yeah, so children are more willing to play the game, yeah? Adults have a lot, they have things to prove, they have to prove they're worthy, they have to prove their stature, they have to prove they're smart. Children are used because of school, because of parents, that they don't know many things, or yeah. So from that standpoint, I find it easier to work with children, to confront children, because they enter more easily in a game, in a playing attitude, yeah? Now, what is more difficult with children is that they're less conscious. When you speak, I don't know about anything, it's less conscious. So that's a disadvantage. An adult is more conscious. That's probably why as well, he is more serious. He's very serious. He wants to win. The adult wants to win. The child knows play the game, and just game is fun. But what he becomes adult, he learns that he wants to win. He wants to be the winner. It's a matter of status. So I would not say that the confronting children. Now, what can be difficult with children is, of course, they have less access to abstractions, to general idea. So you have to adapt your speech to the vocabulary of children, if I work with kindergarten children, I work with children starting 3-year-old, of course, I cannot use abstract terms. I have to be very concrete, use concrete exercises, yeah? So some adults are able to do that. They know how to speak with children, others not, yeah? So let me ask you, Yamini, what do you think was your main difficulty in speaking with those children that makes you think it's difficult to confront them? What do you think was your main difficulty?
They went silent. They were finding difficult to answer the questions.
Okay, yeah. Well, you see, that's because many children, that's a different problem. Because, well, if you notice, when I ask who wants to speak to me, most adults remain silent as well, But children, you see, many children don't have a dialogue culture. That's one thing where I've been working a lot with my books of philosophy for children, is to introduce children to dialogue culture. But in many families, there's no dialogue, or they talk, maybe they talk, but there's no real dialogue. They say, brush your teeth, don't do this, don't do this, you know. So it's a lot about telling what to do, what not to do. But if you ask them, what do you think? Well, it's a bit sad, but very few parents are interested or concerned about what their children think, yeah? So when you ask a child, what do you think about this? Then he, of course, is going to remain silent because nobody ever asked them. Sometimes I have children telling me, it's the first time I'm asked to think, you know, that's a typical comment, because they're not asked to do this. And the second obstacle is often when I work with children, I ask them, what's your main problem in life? Yeah, what's your main problem in life? And of course, either they stay silent, or I say, no, I have no problem. Yeah, because they're taught to not practice critical thinking, you know, not to say, I have a problem with my family, I have a problem with my friends, I have a problem with school. They have learned that problems are bad, that problems should not be said. So I have to insist a lot before they start taking the risk. I will insist, well, don't you have any problem with friends? Don't you have any problem with your parents? You know, finally, they start coming out with it, but that's part of the work, is to initiate children to the art of dialogue, yeah? And that's their main resistance, yeah? But again, I see a lot the same with adults. You understand the idea?
Yeah, yes, I do. And if I remember, you also said that this is a lot of because cultural differences. A lot of cultures are not, like you said, they are not very dialogue friendly, or they do not have this practice. But
Right.
in
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so this is what my point is, that is it possible that because of the cultural differences, children have a lot of shame, as you earlier said, that they, sometimes, you know, for speaking out, or when you ask them, they started crying, this happened with you. And so the cultural element, basically, I'm talking about.
No, the culture element definitely is an important issue, and I'll give you an example. I worked a lot with China, yeah? Now, Chinese children are learned the Confucianist thinking, which is the hegemonic cultural element in China, is very much about respect, the fact you have to respect, for example, your family, your parents. So the idea to say, when I insist a lot, they say, yeah, my mother yells a lot at me, or, you know, this kind of, or she forces me to do homework, because it's a big issue in China. It's not immediate, because at first you're not supposed to criticize your parents or complain about your parents. There's here an issue of shame, of respect, of shame. So yes, you have to deal with this. And some cultures indeed are more dialogue friendly, to call it this way, than others. But I have worked in about maybe 50 countries in my long life so far. So I think you can always find ways to do this, yeah? And when I discover a culture, I have to understand its dynamic, its obstacle, and then I have to find ways to do it. But it's always possible, because I do think there's some anthropological invariance, yeah? And dialogue, thinking, in spite of the difficulty, I do think there are anthropological invariants. They're repressed for different reasons, but then your job as a philosophy practitioner is to find a way to unlock the door. Yeah, that's our job. That's the challenge. How to unlock the door. You like my analogy of unlocking the door?
Yes.
Do you want to add something about this, a question or a comment, or you're good?
No, I'm good.
All right,
Thank you.
fine. Okay, yeah. So, by the way, Yamini we have a one-year course, which we do now every year in different languages, in Russian, in English, in Chinese, in Spanish. We have one-year courses of practice we do, and Yamini is our first Indian student that came this year to our one-year course. It's an online course. Yeah, so we're very happy to inaugurate our first.
I heard it is 3 years for I'm in level 1.
Yeah, you're left. Fine, you just started. Well, why don't you say a couple of words about, I want some advertisement here. So why don't you say a couple of words about the course? You like it, what you learn, what's difficult? Can you say a couple of words about it?
I am actually enjoying the course very much because I think that for 2 years now, I have been independently working on philosophical practice for my own research, and only your course was the one who has 70 to 80% practice. So if you are more practice oriented, more experience oriented, this is much better course. And as we have seen that Oscar works a lot on speech, so what is going on, it's very fundamental activity, so it's not like you're working a lot on theory and giving a lot of words, but so that is the main motivation for me. It is a little bit difficult to cope up because there's a lot of work, and I have started doing consultations also from my first level only. So yes, it has been wonderful for me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, indeed, we insist on the idea of practice because there's a typical tendency, as soon as it's philosophy, people think of speeches, of theory. Now, theory can be interesting, of course. But the main thing, yes, if one wants to develop the competency to be philosophy practitioner, first of all, it's got to be practice and deal with the difficulties of the practice. So most of our courses about practice, questioning session, analysis session. Yeah, it's about practice. So if people are interested in the practice, you can write to us and maybe join us next year. Yeah. So, or if you want to make the experience of a private session, you can write and we'll find someone that can show you how it works to have a 1-hour official philosophical practice session. So anyone else by the way, if you have criticism, it's part of the work too. So just be peaceful about it, but you can criticize. That's fine. That's part of the exercise. So anyone else would like to say something or ask something, you raise your hand, virtual or physical. Okay. So Aniket, first I tried to speak to you, but you did not answer. Are you there?
Hello, sir. Are you able to listen?
Yeah. Can you activate your camera? I want to make sure you're not a robot. I'm paranoid.
Yeah, sure, sir. Just a second.
Show me what you look like. You have a problem with activating camera?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you don't look like a robot. You look like a human being. I feel better. Yes, we're listening to you.
Good afternoon, sir. Yes, sir. So my question is, I'm reading from a text actually. So my question is like in psychiatry or in psychiatric counseling, or actually psychiatry, we use, we as in the practitioners, use the medicines also while treating their patients, right? So why we don't use the medicines or any similar sort of some treatments involving from medicinal science, because obviously medicine is a sub part of philosophy, right? So why don't we do that?
Okay, but can you rephrase your question in a very concise way? So, the Plato says that thinking is the art of question and answer, and that's why Socrates insists precise question, precise answer. So, phrase your question in a more precise way. Yeah.
So the question is simply put, why when in medicinal while medicinal science itself, we can say, is a sub part of philosophy seen at large. Do you agree on that?
Well, I have to say yes and no for the following reasons.
Yes, sir.
If you take, for example, Chinese medicine or Ayurvedic medicine, since we're in India, normally, from what I understand, because I'm not a specialist of these traditional medicine, there's always the component of the soul. There is the products, there is the prescription, but as well, there is something about the soul, about the mind. The Greeks as well. In Greek medicine, for example, the city for Greek medicine, which was Epidaurus, when you visit Epidaurus, you see amphitheaters. They had a lot of theater because theater was part of the treatment because of the catharsis, the purging of emotion. So in traditional medicine, in many culture, there was a spiritual element. But modern medicine, let's call it Western or whatever, sort of gave up on that dimension. It became very specialized, very technical. Now, of course, it has its efficiency. I see a doctor as well. I don't want to deny its efficiency, but it sort of gave up on the psychological or spiritual dimension of treating the subject. Yeah. So we do have some psychiatrists that come to our training, and they tell us, we come to your training because we learn to make diagnostics, to identify problem, and sometimes with people, indeed, the pathology is very strong. You cannot ask them to think. You give them medicine, things like this. But sometimes with patients which are more able to think, we have more access to reason. Indeed, the questioning is very useful. Someone tell us they try, as to the extent possible, to lead their patients, because we don't have patients. We don't see somebody as being sick, But the doctor, yes, he has a patient. He's supposed to cure a patient. In philosophical practice, we don't cure anything. The only cure is dying. That's about the only cure in philosophical practice. You die, then the problems disappear. But otherwise, yes. So they try to use this to the extent possible to invite people to reason. Yeah, and it's a little bit as well the same thing as a difference with psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is a therapy. So you're supposed to cure people who have a specific problem. You want to help them solve the specific problem. Now, depending on what kind of therapy, they use reason more or less, or they simply deal with allowing people to speak, to say all their pain. Yeah. So depending on what it is, there's more or less reason. Yeah. But the specificity of philosophical practice, of philosophical counseling, is that reason, and in fact, somebody like Spinoza would say, reason is the main, if not only, access to joy, to happiness for the human being. Yeah. So we work on reason with the idea that any human being has some access to reason. As Descartes said, reason is the most widely shared characteristic of human being. Yeah. So here, medicine or psychotherapy can overlap with philosophical practice. And in fact, we have as well psychologists coming to our training, but there's something specific about philosophical practice where we deal more directly with the soul, with the mind. Yeah. And so we're not going to use medicine because that's not the idea, to say, okay, I'll give you a pill, makes you happy. Okay, fine. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I would say yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
All right, okay. So I see that Navneet Chopra is raising his virtual hand. Navneet, we listen to you. Are you there, Navneet?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I have written my worries here in the chat box. And I feel that your approach is very one-sided. I mean, human life and human issues are multifaceted. Human psyche is not monolithic. And you, to me at least, seems to be pushing people towards one direction according to your suggestions. So person may feel satisfied having a solution, logical solution, but when he goes back home, he may be finding himself into problem again because he is in life. So that is my worry. Maybe I may have wrongly conceived, but this is what I feel like.
Okay, now you see, when two people dialogue, there's a rule. They don't have to agree. You see, if we all agree, then there's no more discussion. So agreement is not a necessary condition of a dialogue. And in fact, I do a lot of couple consultations, and that's one thing I said, you don't have to agree. But one thing which is an obligation, you have to understand each other. Yeah, that's fundamental, because otherwise you cannot speak, and that's when you start fighting because you don't understand each other. So in this case, I have a problem because I vaguely see what you see, but it's not sufficient. Yeah, what I understand is you think there's some element of human existence that I am omitting or forgetting. Is that what you're saying?
No, not exactly this. My worry is that your method pushes one to choose one option when a person is having multiple options. I mean, multiple possibilities in his being. And when you say him, okay, are you X? He is compelled to say yes, X, because he is X as well, but he's also Y and Z. And then you end up admitting him that, okay, he is X, and then you say you are Y as well. But that was obviously because, so this method seems to be very intimidating. And particularly for a person, a counselee who is having a fragile self, I'm really worried whether it may damage his sense of self.
Okay.
That's my
Can
worry.
I already, Navneet, can I propose to you already something?
Yeah, sure.
Don't worry, okay? Worrying is totally opposite to thinking. And do you know why I say that worrying is opposite to thinking?
Worrying, I'm just saying euphemistically. Actually, I'm thinking. I just euphemistically said I'm worrying.
Do you know why I, Oscar, in his very biased, limited way, do you know why I would claim that worrying is opposite to thinking? Do you have any idea why I say that?
I don't know.
Okay, do you want to know?
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you. There's a few different reasons, and it's very important because when we get people coming for a consultation, they worry a lot. And we say, stop worrying and start thinking. Okay, first thing.
Wait here. This is exactly my point. You're again playing the same game. I'm sorry to say. I have clarified that I use the term worry just to be polite. Actually, it is my counter thinking to what you think. And I've expressed it very explicitly.
Now, I understand you want to fight with me. That's fine. I'm not against fighting if it's peaceful. Yeah. But do you want me to tell you why I oppose worrying and thinking, or you're not interested?
No, I'm not interested. Not interested because
then there's a rule. Yeah, okay. So that's like in a couple consultation, the wife says something. I say, do you want to hear your husband's answer? She says, no, I don't want. Then he's not going to answer, because for a dialogue, you need both parts to be interested. So if the other one is not interested, then don't impose it on him. Some people want to impose their explanation. So if you're not interested, then I will not tell you. But then what do you expect? Do you want my answer or no?
That's exactly what is happening. But now if we will push further, it will not be maybe very pleasant. So I think I should end, and I should stop there. Thank you.
Well, you see, that's the difference between you and I. You think it's not pleasant. Personally, I find it very interesting because through this, I'm getting to know you, you see.
Oscar, I'm telling you repeatedly, worry was just a term I euphemistically used. Actually, I meant that I have a very well-defined thinking, which is contrary to your thinking. I have made it very clear.
Okay. You're funny.
direction. You're exactly showing what I'm blaming you to be.
Yeah, if I tell you you're a funny guy, do you know why I say that?
I don't know. You have your own mind. Yeah, you please tell me.
Do you want to know why you're funny?
Yes.
Because you remind me of my grandmother. You keep repeating the same thing, and I try to go beyond it and examine it, but you keep repeating. I criticize you, I don't like what you're saying, I'm against you, but you don't want to examine the nature of our opposition. That's too bad. I love when there's criticism, opposition, but you keep repeating you don't agree, you don't like, but you don't want to dialogue. And in a couple, when I see this, I say, well, you guys should divorce because you don't want a dialogue. Yeah, so that's fine. That's no problem. So just let you conclude. I just let you conclude, and we move on. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Make
I
your
think we should
conclusion.
move forward.
Thank you. I think I shouldn't move. Yeah.
We should move forward from this. Yeah, and also we exhausted 1 hour 5 minutes, so we just have 10 minutes to move to the next session. Charu. Yeah, Professor Askar, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was told I could go at 50 minutes extra, so I have a few more minutes.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, but one should not get nervous about people getting excited. For me, that's part of the job. I have people that get excited, they want to fight. It's fine. It's not a problem. But I always try to identify what is happening. Yeah, and that's a typical thing. People, they have an idea, they react emotionally, and we try to say, okay, relax, okay, we don't agree, we think differently. Big whoopee, as they say in America. So what? And we try to go beyond that. That's part of the process. Yeah, but anyhow. So anyone else wants to say or ask something, you raise your hand.
Yeah, if I am allowed, I just have an observation, Oscar. Even during the session that I had with Anna, I was surprised to understand that, see, I have been teaching philosophy since last 20 years, but even then, I was surprised that I was using the language sometimes carelessly without thinking about it. That's where when you stopped your our friends who were interacting with you in using trying, words like trying, maybe, and then all the time kind of ones. We frequently use these to communicate. We think that this is a successful communication, but in the process, in fact, it reveals that we ourselves are ambiguous. The thinking and speaking, there is some ambiguity between this link that most of us, at least, sorry, I should not include you because you have that clarity, but most of we people, I believe, we still have, though we have been teaching. See, I was asked, like, why are you repeating so many things so many times? I said, see, being a teacher, probably I'm accustomed to repeating certain things again and again. That's how I come back to this.
Yeah, but let me say something about this, because sometimes people confuse. They think we're trying to correct the way they speak. They should speak better, like a teacher at school. You should learn to speak better. In France, for example, we teach children, do not repeat the same word. That's bad. Find synonyms. No, that's not the idea. The idea here is that speech is a house of being. Yeah. So when somebody constructs his existence, it's articulated through speech. So what's interesting is to be conscious of the nature of your speech, because your speech in a way is you, because that's the image you fabricate, that's how you position yourself. So the idea is whatever speech you have, it's like a signature, it's like a declaration. So we say, oh, look, you use that word a lot. It's like a leitmotif. In music, a leitmotif is a little piece of music that indicates, like in Wagner, you have a lot of that, indicates such a character in the opera, for example. Yeah. So we're trying to make people conscious of their leitmotif, and then language become very interesting. It's not simply communication, I want to get something. It's like a mirror. Yeah. The way you speak tells, you know, who you are, tells. And the idea of logos in Greek, for example, is both reason and speech. You know, that it was the same word because precisely language is the articulation of reason. So, and the relationship to reason is the mirror by which we can see ourselves. Yeah, not to exclude, of course, other aspects of our being, yeah, like emotions or whatever. But yeah. So yes, that's why we work a lot on the language. To become conscious of your language is to become conscious of yourself. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And did you find it painful, the exercise, or no?
No, that exercise with Anna was really painful. Initially, I was like, I thought, yeah, am I really saying this?
Yeah, yeah. But then
Is it me who is saying this?
Yeah, exactly. Now, that's a very nice remark, because indeed there's a form of alienation. Yeah. And that's this alienation we are trying to make people conscious of. Yeah. And then they say, is that what you want to say? Yes. So you become conscious, and there's a form, you become other to yourself. And this being other to yourself can be a little bit painful, but then we hope people get in the game, you know, and start enjoying the exercise. But sometimes, no, some people get a little bit upset, like our friend earlier. You know, that's life. That's, you know, you should not expect you make people think and they'll be necessarily happy with you. You know, if you wanted people to be happy with you, tell them nice things. You're the most beautiful, the most intelligent. Tell them what they want. But if you confront them with thinking, well, you have to take the risk that they might be a little bit destabilized, maybe even happy. That's life. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I think Patricia wants to intervene, and with that, we will probably try to close.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much, everybody, for your patience. I see some people still want to speak with me. You can contact me in private, again, through Facebook, through my website. Yes, I have a lot of text and videos on my website. You do Brenifier on Google and you find my website. Yeah. So thank you. And apparently, according to our friend Bala Ganapi says, we will do a workshop. I will propose to do a workshop, more exercise maybe in February, right? Bala will organize this in February.
Yeah, Patricia wants to say something to you.
Oh, yes.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Raise down my hands. Okay. No, just a little thing, but if there is no time enough, I will go on writing directly to Oscar.
No, please.
It's very interesting, the passage, because a client comes to us worrying about something, a matter, a problem, anything regarding his daily or her daily life. And our aspiration, our desire is that he or she goes out thinking. So it's the passage between worrying and thinking.
Yes.
And yes, and the point for me now that I would like to share with you, but we can go on then in another place and in time, is the passage, because this passage, the passage between worrying and thinking, can be emotionally, because of course we dialogue and we use reason, and the dialogue before with the colleague as demonstrated, has proved this, can be emotionally involving. But I personally tend to use reason, and to create this traveling always pushed towards the higher part of our body, to the reason, to the mind. At the same time, I don't want to lose the pleasure of the traveling, because my aspiration, my personal aspiration, is to make the person who is in dialogue with me enjoying the traveling. So it's quite, and this is a strong point for philosophical counseling, because we are not psychotherapists, we are not psychologists. For me, it's a very strong difference. If you are, of course, you use all the instruments, the tools that you have in your hands. I have dear friends who are doctors, medical doctors, and they are philosophical counselors, and they can use all the instruments. But we, as counselors,
Patricia, I'm going to, if I don't mind, to stop you, but for a reason,
Yeah.
because I generally think to understand the global panorama, what you're saying, and indeed, visibly, we have common points, you and I. But I was wondering, is there some specific idea that you want to tell me? Because right now I don't see. So did you just want to echo
No,
what I was
want to
saying?
ask you.
Wait, Patricia, wait, let me finish my
Yeah.
question.
Yes, Ruben, yeah, I let you.
Did you just want to echo what I was saying to say, well, you know, we're on the same wavelength, or was there some specific issue that you think I omit, that I forget, that you wanted to remind me of, or you just want to tell me that we are on the same wavelength? Which one?
No, I want to ask you how to handle the eventual negative emotions that comes in this traveling between worrying and thinking. How
Okay.
you handle. That's it.
Yeah, and indeed, that's
That's
a very, yes, that's a very important question. And that's one of the big difficulties, because when we train practitioners, some are very destabilized. Maybe somebody cries. For example, when I work in China, I work with a Chinese woman, it's automatic they cry because it's so repressed that as soon as they can, they'll cry. So if the person is too sensitive, you're going to be affected when you should not. Okay, they're crying, you understand, you have some empathy, but you still work on it. Or some people get upset, get angry, and then the practitioner, he reacts to that. No, you should not react. And in fact, what you have to learn is the dimension of what today is called emotional intelligence. You have to understand the emotion of the person. But you should not react to it. Yeah. So indeed, I agree. That's a very important aspect of the work, is to work on this, to understand, to connect to it, not to suffer from it, because otherwise you cannot deal with the person. You're not their friend. You know, you don't have the same pain. But yes, to educate people to go beyond their emotions, to have some distance from it, is a very important aspect of the work. So yes, I agree. Yeah, it's cognitive. It's both cognitive and emotional. Reason is not, in fact, we see this with Plato. At a certain moment, people get angry at Socrates, and somebody says, what are you doing? You pretend to have them reason, but you make them angry. Yeah, and it's an interesting paradox that reason can make people angry, and you have to deal with it. Yes, and then there are different techniques, but now I will not enter in that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. All right. Okay. Well, thank you, Bala, and people, don't hesitate if you want to get in touch, and maybe see you in February when we do this this workshop.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us and sparing your time. Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye.